What exactly is angle of inclination? Actually, angle of inclination is the angle that is measured anti-clockwise from the x-axis to a straight line. Wa lemoga gore mo re na le a Cartesian plane, and then re tseba gore this is y-axis and then this is x-axis. So mo re na le a straight line, and then what we know gore ge re na le a straight line mo ile gore CMA in this way, re la gore this line in a positive gradient, and then re tseba gore ge re na le a line in this way, re la gore this line in a negative gradient. But now let's discuss about the angle of inclination. If we say angle of inclination is the angle measured anti-clockwise from the x-axis to a straight line, it means the angle of inclination re bolela ka this angle mo ile gore this angle re measure in this way, anti-clockwise. Remember gore this is anti-clockwise and then this is clockwise. So the angle of inclination is always measured anti-clockwise from the x-axis. As you can see that this is the x-axis. So gore re kgone find this angle of inclination, re tlo tshwanela gore re tsebe gradient ya this line. Let's say gradient ya this line ke 2. Ge re tseba the gradient ya a line, finding the angle of inclination is very easy because re tlo shumisha this formula that says tan theta e lekana le the gradient of that line, whereby this angle theta is the angle of inclination. So now finding the angle of inclination, it means re tlo re tan theta e lekana le 2, and then from there it's easy to find the angle of inclination. So o tlo press your calculator, wa shift tan, and then wa insert a 2. So it means angle of inclination, it will for something like, and then wa insert your gradient. So you can shift tan 2, it will for 63.43. So this is the angle of inclination. It's important to remember the angle of inclination is always between 0 and 180 degrees. So this is the angle of inclination. Sometimes we offer your gradient in the form of equation. Let's say the equation of this line is y is equals to x minus 2. From this equation, let's say equation of straight line, and then let's say equation of straight line is in the form of y is equals to mx plus c, whereby this m represent the gradient. So from this equation we can see our gradient is 1. So we're going to find the angle of inclination. We'll do the same thing. Tan theta is equals to 1 because our gradient is 1, and then from there we'll find our angle. Shift tan 1, and therefore the angle of inclination is 45 degrees. So recreate this angle measured anti-clockwise. So if we now analyze something like this one, you can never say this is the angle of inclination, because angle of inclination is always measured from the x-axis. So this is not the x-axis, it's the y-axis. So be careful. And then now let's say a straight line a negative slope. Let's say this gradient is -1, and then re nyaka find the angle of inclination. The angle of inclination is the angle measured from the x-axis anti-clockwise to the straight line. So we are looking for this angle. So now let's use this property here to find the angle of inclination. Tan theta is the gradient. So our gradient in this case is -1. And then now we're going to find this angle. So we'll do the same thing, and then shift tan -1, and then yarfa -45 degrees. So now the question is, what is this angle here, -45 degrees? What you should know, kore always generally angle ya negative in order that angle was measured clockwise. So this theta I say this angle this angle. This angle was measured clockwise. So actually this is 45 degrees. Remember angle can never be negative. So negative fela ka the direction or this angle was measured clockwise. So 45 degrees ke this one. But question find the angle of inclination. Let's say this is angle alpha, our angle of inclination. What you should realize is this angle and this angle adjacent angles on a line. So from there we can simply say angle alpha plus 45 degrees is equals to 180 degrees. The reason adjacent angles on a line. Therefore our angle alpha is equals to 180 degrees minus 45 degrees, and then the answer is 135 degrees. So that's how we can find the angle of inclination, generally the negative slope. So always generally the negative slope, when you find the angle of inclination, you find that gradient negative, and then for negative, all that you do, you add 180. So that's the easiest way. Feel negative 45 when I plus 180, and then auto create that angle inclination. So in that way. And then this question find angle theta. This is angle theta. This is not the angle of inclination, because angle of inclination is an angle that is measured anti-clockwise from the x-axis to a straight line. So this is not the angle of inclination. But rakashumisha some knowledge ya angle of inclination gore re tla kgona create this angle. O ka lemoga gore ba file equation ya this line. So because ba file equation ya this line, re ka kgona find the angle of inclination ya this line. The angle of inclination it will be this one, because angle of inclination is measured from the x-axis anti-clockwise to a straight line. So re ka find this angle. Let's say angle alpha. But because really a negative gradient, the first thing to find this angle, because it's about a negative angle in the angle is measured clockwise. So we can find this angle first. So because this is the gradient, we can find this angle. So I can simply say tan theta is equals to this gradient, which is -3, and then from there our theta is equals to get our shift tan -3, and then yamfa -71.56 degrees. So this angle, because negative 71.56 degrees. So from there I can easily find this angle, because it's about this angle and this angle adjacent angles on a line. So finding angle alpha, which is our angle of inclination, I will simply add 180 degrees. So -71.56 degrees plus 180 degrees, and then aim for 108.43 degrees. So this angle, which is the angle of inclination. And then another thing, a straight line here, and then the equation. So from this equation, I'm going to find the gradient. But the first thing to this equation has to be in the standard form, because equation is in the form of y is equals to something. So I can simply divide everything by 2 gore ke kgone go šala ka y. So from there ke tlo ba le y is equals to 4x plus 6, and then from here o ka kgona go bona gore this is the gradient, ke gradient ya this line. So now I can easily find the angle of inclination. Remember the angle of inclination is the angle measured from the x-axis anti-clockwise to a straight line. I can easily find this angle, which is the angle of inclination, because it's about the gradient. So let's say this angle is angle beta. So I'm gonna find this angle ke shumisha angle of inclination. So I can easily say tan beta is equals to the gradient of that line, which is 4. So from there beta is equals to shift tan gradient, which is 4, and then from there you can press a calculator or shift tan 4, and then it will for 75.96. So originally 75.96 degrees. So this angle, which is the angle of inclination. Because this gradient is positive, there is no need to add 108. So now we can this kind of shape, and then whereby this is angle theta, and then this is angle beta, and then this is angle alpha. And then from here this is triangle, and then this angle is the exterior angle of this triangle, because exterior is outside. So from here the knowledge the exterior angle ya triangle the sum of the opposite interior angles. So from here we can say angle alpha angle theta plus angle beta, reason the sum of the opposite interior angles of a triangle. So because theta, I can easily say theta is equals to alpha minus beta. So alpha, which is 108.43 degrees, and then minus beta, which is 75.96, and then from there our answer is 32.47 degrees. So re angle theta. O ka kgona bona gore re šomiše the knowledge angle of inclinations, so that re kgone go this angle theta. But it turns out gore ge o rata o ka this angle, because o na le angle alpha. So ra tseba gore this angle and this angle alpha ke adjacent angles on a line. So ra tseba gore this angle plus alpha di lekana le 108, and then wa this angle. So from there wa šomiša the fact ya gore the triangle, the angles tsa gona ge di adder di lekana le 108. So o botlo this angle is because o botla bona le this angle and this angle. So it's all up to you when I shumisha this one or this one. So anyway, that's it for this question. Try this one on your own. This one is a similar type problem. This question will find the angle theta, but this time around we'll fill the points instead of the gradient. So first thing first, we will try to create gradient ya line AB. Remember the coordinates is in terms of x and y, and then what is important here on the point here 4, and then this point is on the x-axis. So remember on the x-axis the y coordinate is 0. So this point is point here 4 and 0, and then this one negative 3 and 0. So from there we can do the same thing. We can create the gradient ya line AB. So the coordinates are this is x1, and then y1, x2, and then y2. So from there we'll find out the gradient ya line AB, where m AB is equals to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, and then from there we substitute ka di coordinates tša gago. So to dira the same thing ka this one ya line AC, where MAC is equals to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So from there we will create the angle of inclination at this one, because we will only the gradient, and then we do the same thing at this line near AB, but because this line in only negative gradient, we will shumisha that negative gradient we create this angle, and then after finding this angle we can create this angle very easy, because this one is the angle of inclination. We will add 108, and then we do the same thing just like this previous example. We create this angle theta. So try this one on your own. Then this one find angle theta. This is angle theta here, and then this is not the angle of inclination, because angle of inclination is measured from x-axis anti-clockwise to a straight line, and then this is the y-axis. So this is not the angle of inclination, but the knowledge angle of inclination, and then find some angles first, and then create this one. More a straight line, and then the equation that straight line. So from this equation this is the gradient, and then because this gradient we can easily find this angle, which is the angle of inclination. Let's say this angle ke alpha. So this angle of inclination, we also know this angle. Let's say this angle ke beta, because this one and this one give vertical opposite angles. So alpha beta, because give vertical opposite angles. Another thing to realize this is 90 degrees. Every time the y-axis and the x-axis intersect the form 90 degrees. So this is 90 degrees. So from this triangle, right angle triangle, we can find this angle. Let's say angle x. So this angle we create very easy, because this angle plus this angle plus this angle is 180 degrees, which is the sum of the interior of triangles. And then from there, if we this angle x, we angle theta, because of vertical opposite angles. So the first thing, we find the angle of inclination, which is angle alpha. So tan alpha is equals to the gradient, which is 2, and then from there alpha is equals to shift tan 2, and then the answer is 63.43 degrees. So this is angle alpha, and then now because it's angle alpha, I can conclude by saying angle alpha is angle beta, representing vertical opposite angles. So angle beta, and then now I can use the property the sum of the interior angles of a triangle. So from there I can say 90 degrees plus beta plus x is equals to 180 degrees, representing sum of angles of triangle. So from there I can find x, 90 degrees, and then beta, which is 63.43 degrees, and then plus x is equals to 180 degrees. So from there, like terms, 90 plus 63.43 is 153.43 degrees, and then plus x is equals to 180 degrees. So from there we are finding x ile kana le 180 degrees, and then minus 153.43 degrees, and then the answer is 26.57 degrees. So ke angle x. Therefore I can say x is equals to theta. Gets our angle x ile kana le theta, which is 26.57 degrees. Reason ke vertical opposite angles. So re la hore ke create this angle theta. So that's it for this problem. And then what about this one? This one here, find the gradient of line AB. Sometimes wa kgonega gore ba fe the angle of inclination, and then question e nyaka go find the gradient or the equation. So this question here, find the gradient ya line AB. O ka kgona bona gore on this line AB re na le the angle of inclination. This is the angle of inclination, and then that angle ke 45 degrees. So we can easily find this gradient because re tseba gore tan this angle of inclination le kana le the gradient ya that line, and then in this case this angle of inclination ke 45 degrees. So re la hore finding the gradient, it's straightforward. So re la hore o to press a calculator, and then tan 45 it will for 1. So it means the gradient of line AB ile kana le 1. So this is our answer. And then let's say if question will find the equation, because una le the gradient, and then re ka lebelela this line ya AB una le the y-intercept. Y-intercept, remember ke point ya rena ya C. So from this equation here, y is equals to mx plus c. Re la hore we can easily substitute because the gradient ke positive 1, and then point ya rena ya c ke negative 3. So re la hore this is the equation ya line AB. So this is our answer. Y is equals to x minus 3. So anyway, that's it for this question.